Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kelly Hutchinson, Deputy Chair of the Pearcey Foundation, and it's my privilege to be the first to welcome you this afternoon. I am delighted to be here with you to celebrate the Pearcey National Awards for 2020. It's been a big year, so recognising those who have made such important contributions is even more sweet, I would say, this year. So before we begin the proceedings, I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the Boonwurrung and Woiwurrung Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and all the traditional custodians who belong to the lands where the Pearcey Foundation and you, our guests, are based. We acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders with us today and their elders past, present and emerging, whose stories, traditions and living culture in this country are a valuable resource, as are those of all who've come to make Australia their home. Together we are Australia. So as I said, it's been a big year for Pearcey Foundation and we are really delighted to have our final event of the year and celebrate and recognise some of our Australian pioneers. Thank you very much. We've got Jan from Noongar in land from Fremantle. Please do tell us if you are meeting with us from other places as well. I'd like to introduce my illustrious leader and an amazing man himself, Mr. Wayne Fitzsimmons, the chairman of the Pearcey Foundation, to carry on now.
Thank you, Kelly. And thanks to everyone tuning in, and of course to our sponsors this afternoon, the ASX, Australian Stock Exchange. Thank you for your continued support. It's been another big and unusual year for the Pearcey Foundation. Who would have conceived of us presenting the National Awards virtually? But here we are. Some observations about our efforts in 2020. Firstly, just 3 out of 7 of our state awards were in-person events. Queensland, ACT and Tasmania, and they were all great. And the other 4 virtuals were also great. Today we are holding our 7th conversation for 2020 with a talented lineup of speakers. More to be said on that later, of course. I would note that all of the conversations are available on our YouTube channel. May I mention that the standout conversation on women in IT held on Linda Lovelace Day in October was fantastic. We celebrated the achievements of the many outstanding female contributors in Australia and around the world. During Victoria's Digital Innovation Festival, where we were supported by the Vic government, thanks Kathy Coulter and her team, we held 4 events, including the 2020 Pearcey Oration. This year's oration, entitled, "How do we address our resilience and preparedness in this age of mistrust?" was presented by John Blackburn, AO, a great insight into how our nation needs to rethink its long-term strategies. A Digital Innovation Festival Pearcey Institute roundtable on the topic of Australia as a technology-led economy after the 2020 pandemic was moderated by our Pearcey Institute Chair, Dennis Tebbit. A very thought-provoking discussion involving Victoria's Minister for Government Services, the Honourable Denny Pearson. Notable for 2020 also was the commencement of documenting the definitive history of the Australian ICT industry. With the help of a distinguished advisory panel under the leadership of our Dr. Peter Thorne, we commissioned Graham Phillipson to get cracking. He has already completed the early period of the local industry up and beyond 1960, and now there is an extensive review underway of the material for the remainder of the book. This includes many extensive personal interviews of our own Pearcey medalists and Hall of Famers. And last but not least, we are working with Sydney University's business schools, Dr. Sebastian Burl, in undertaking more than 50 interviews, including many of our Pearcey medalists and Hall of Famers, as research material to analyse how and why Australia's ICT entrepreneurs made their commercial business decisions in years past. As I mentioned, all of our conversations and the oration have been recorded and can be seen on our YouTube channel. Please check out our websites. One last notable matter. In August 2021, the Pearcey Foundation is planning to hold a 70th anniversary celebration of the first ever Australian Computer Conference held in August 1951, hosted by Sydney University and CSIRO's Department of Radiophysics. We will publicise this event extensively in 2021, as it is a great milestone for our Australian industry. Now, please allow me to welcome Rick Harvey to the fore, for the presentation of our 2020 National Entrepreneur Award. Rick is a member of the National Pearcey Committee, as well as having the difficult yet rewarding role as Chief Judge on the Pearcey National Entrepreneur of the Year Award Committee. Over to you, Rick, briefly to review our 2020 State Pearcey Award recipients and announce this year's Entrepreneur Award winner on the national basis.
Oh, thank you, Wayne. Good afternoon, everyone. Every year, the Pearcey Foundation recognises entrepreneurs at both the national and the state level. And it's in the spirit of Dr. Trevor Pearcey, who is in fact a great entrepreneur himself. He came to Australia in 1945 from the UK and he joined CSIRO. He was in his mid-20s and you can sort of imagine the pitch. There he goes. He said, you know, give me a room, a big room, give me some people, give me a truckload of valves. I'm going to build you this computing thing called CIRAC. And what does it do? Well, it's a lot more than a calculator. It's a stored program electronic computer. Turned out to be one of the first in the world. And they said, and what sort of things will you run on it? He says, well, there's going to be applications that we haven't yet dreamed of. And CIRAC went on and did all sorts of things like weather predictions and helping the stock exchange, you name it. He was very much a visionary. In 1948, when he was in the middle of building CIRAC, he said in a public speech, it is not inconceivable that an automatic encyclopedic service operated through the national teleprinter or telephone system will one day exist. There's no doubt that the entrepreneurs are at the cutting edge of innovation, and Australia actually has many leading entrepreneurs in their field on the world stage. But generally, Australians don't recognise them, at least not as heroes. I mean, we recognise our sporting heroes, maybe our political heroes, but not our ICT heroes. And the Pearcey Foundation wants to recognise some people doing incredible things. And we have three principles that we judge on. We say taken a risk, made a difference, and is an inspiration. And at the state level, the state committee, state Pearcey committees go out and look for these entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are hiding. A lot of them are doing amazing world things, and they don't look for the limelight. They just got to be in their bonnet, and they might have left their old job. They might have raised some capital. They might have had everyone saying, "Hey, this is not possible," but they still go and do it anyway. So let me just quickly review the state winners, just so you get an idea of the breadth and depth of talent. And so from ACT, we have Shane Hill. He's a founder and CEO of Skoolbo. He's a former teacher and was passionate about e-learning since around about 2000, when he founded Scaffold Education, which became 3P Learning and went on to grow into a public company. In 2010, he founded Skoolbo, which is built a huge range of world-recognized educational programs in reading, writing, numeracy, language, science, art, music, and the number of hours, something staggering, like 500 million learning hours around the world by students using his programs. Shane has a particular claim to fame. He was actually gained 4th place in the World Under-14 Chess Championship. He's also on the advisory board at the Canberra Innovation Network. In New Zealand, New South Wales, we have Jamila Gordon, and Jamila is originally from Somalia and Kenya. Had a bit of a tough childhood, came to Australia when she was 18, where she learned English and programming, and then career took off. She worked for IBM in Europe, came back to Australia to become CIO of Qantas and CMIC. And in 2018, she founded Lumachain, partnered with Microsoft, and raised $3.5 million. And Lumachain is a fascinating company because they're looking at the traceability of global food supply chains using blockchain, and to ensure the high quality, ethically produced products, all the way from where it was grown to when it lands on your table. In Queensland, we have Nick Therkelsen-Terry, and Nick's co-founder of Max Kelsen, a cognitive CX. Nick's a artificial intelligence and machine learning expert. Loves what he does. He's built a consultancy up over a long period of time, which specializes in this area. The company recently awarded a $2.6 million CRC grant for AI and genomics to predict cancer treatment. And he's also got a research group looking into quantum computing and advanced machine learning. Over in South Australia, Dr. Michelle Perugini. Michelle's co-founder and CEO of Presagen and Life Whisperer, and she started off in medical research and then broke away and started off her entrepreneurial journey as a co-founder of an AI company called ISD Analytics in 2007, which was ultimately acquired by Ernst & Young in 2015. She's now co-founder and CEO of Presagen, which is another health AI company looking at women's health. And their first product, called Life Whisperer, is been approved in two-thirds of the global markets around the world. And in healthcare, that's a long, hard road. And they're putting another product at the moment which does genetic detection of embryos. In industry, she spends a lot of time as an advisor and mentor, panelist, speaker, and she's a member of the Australian Commonwealth Research and Development Incentives Committee. Down in Tasmania, we got Mike Cruz. Mike grew up in Launceston, and he was forever immersed in electronics. He just loved it, and he worked for a software developer in Melbourne. He moved to the Silicon Valley, spent quite a few years there, co-founded a smart grid startup which raised $15 million. But he came back to, and that was acquired by Cisco. In 2010, he came back to Tasmania to found Definium Technologies, and he said, why can't we have an electronics surface mount technology business in Tasmania, in this part of the world? And everyone said, nah, can't be done. But there he is, he's gone and built it, and doing supremely well down there. Mike is a very strong supporter of the local schools and university. Here in Victoria, where I'm based, we have Grant Petty. He's CEO of Blackmagic Design, and Grant grew up in the country from Numurkah. He also, from an early age, fascinated with electronics, computers, software, audio. He started Blackmagic as a side project in 2002, and when he was working for a post-production engineer, and he just couldn't believe how much the equipment cost. It can't possibly cost that much. So he started to build his own, and since that time, he's grown Blackmagic to be a truly world-class international digital cinema company. They've got $300 million of revenues, 350 people in Melbourne, another 1,000 worldwide. And their software and equipment's used in broadcasting, live streaming, editing, special effects, sound engineering, and even Hollywood. Quite a few Oscar-winning movies have been using Blackmagic design. And finally, because we're doing alphabetical order, over in Western Australia, we've got Greg Riebe. He's the co-founder of Entrepreneurs in Residence, and Greg's he's a VC advisor. He's a tech entrepreneur, a mentor, an angel investor. And he founded his company way back in 2000 to help the startup community over in Western Australia, and he's helped over 400 companies with advice, capital raising, deal structuring, business development, exit management. He's on many boards as some of them as chairman. He's the co-founder and immediate past chairman of Perth Angels and the founder and past chair of the E-Group WA Association. And if you're over there in Western Australia and you're in the startup community, well, you bet Greg's there helping in all sorts of different ways. So then we have this fantastic lineup of entrepreneurs. Each are awesome in their own way. And for the National Entrepreneur Award, what we want to do is recognize, they're all great. It's not a winner of winners, but we want to recognize one of them as being characteristic of the group. And the little extra piece that we use in the judging, so taking a risk made a difference and is an inspiration. We add this little extra piece, which is have some kind of global impact. And we have the state chairs of the Pearcey committees. They get together. It's a very hard decision. We discuss all the candidates, but we select one as being iconic of that group. And this year we've decided that it's Grant Petty from Blackmagic Design. And so it's my great honor and privilege to announce that Grant Petty is the winner of the recipient of the 2020 National Pearcey Entrepreneur Award. And I would now like to invite Grant to say a few words. I can't hand you your little plaque personally, but think about a virtual handshake and a virtual camera shot. Over to you, Grant.
Thank you. Wow, Wow, that's amazing. And thanks to the Pearcey Foundation and you all for the award. I mean, that's quite amazing. I think it's funny as you're talking about this thing we've created, you know, it's amazing. It's actually over $600 million in revenue now, and we consume about 3.5 million parts a day. We make about 150,000 products a month. So it's big and it's quite funny. And I think that I think the thing that's probably most valuable about, I think in some ways, an award like this and what you guys are doing, I think people in Australia don't believe they can do this thing. I mean, we didn't take any funding. We just built it. We haven't borrowed any money. We didn't, you know, I'm from a country town, you know, poor housing commission. But I think electronics and sort of engineering has been the distraction from the world that you need, I think, when you don't have anything and when you're coming up from nothing. So, and it's been tough, and we've had a lot of business challenges. You know, we live in like this country, I think, is very property based. Everything sort of revolves around property. And I think that comes from, maybe it comes from the fact that the smarter everyone gets, the more they rely on data and metrics, and it constrains their thought. And so it's the wild ideas from the trailer trash, essentially, you know, if you're going to use a derogatory term for it, but they're the people that actually break out and do the most amazing things because they're not constrained by anything and they truly are free to think. So maybe that Housing Commission background in a country town of 3,000 people, maybe that gave me I wasn't distracted by really knowing how to do this. And also, or maybe it's the fact that engineers need to run businesses. Who knows? Maybe the biggest problem we have is we need more engineers actually running companies and not business people running companies, because business people don't kind of know much apart from simplifying everything. And I think that to do anything really great, it's actually reasonably complex. And so it's the opposite of simplifying. So, you know, we have our own factories, and as I was, you know, saying before the call to someone that we put 6 new production lines with 20 pick and place machines each in the last 12 months. So it's been an amazing thing. So thank you very much for the award. It's just really quite an honor. And so we're just going to keep doing what we do and hopefully kick ass, but hopefully we can show everyone that, you know, you can just do this. You just have to want to do it, and you can build anything you want. You can shape the world the way you want it to be, as long as it's a better world. And then everyone will help you, you know, they'll support you. And our customers and the staff we have here are fantastic. The biggest problem with COVID is not being in here with everyone. Feels like you've lost your brain. You know, all these smart people, there's no problem we can't solve. And in fact, problems are the source of all the challenges that you get confronted with are the source of all the innovation. So that's another problem with business people, right? They try to eliminate problems, but in fact, the problems are the solutions to those problems. When you don't just buy an off-the-shelf solution to it, but when you actually try and solve a problem, that's where all innovation comes from. So we'll just keep doing that. But thank you for the award. It's a huge honor, and it's very exciting. I can't wait to catch up with you all to keep discussing about the way we want to make the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Grant. Well done to all the state entrepreneurs, and particularly for Grant's efforts. But I'm very proud of everybody to be involved, and thanks to all the judges. As you can imagine, it's quite a lot of work during the year. I'm delighted now to formally announce the names of the 3 lifetime contributors to our ICT industry who will be elevated to the Pearcey Hall of Fame for 2020. One of those will be also named the Pearcey Medalist for this year. The criteria used in selecting our Hall of Famers can be broadly described in the following words: distinguished achievement of a lifetime and a contribution to the development and growth of the Australian information and communications technology industry. These 3 individuals were nominated from our industry and voted on by more than 30 of their peers, drawn also from across our diverse sector, including many of our past medalists. We've been undertaking these awards since 1998, the year which saw the passing of Trevor Pearcey. It was initiated by Mr. Ian Dennis, and I'm sure he's zooming in on today's events as well. That said, it now gives me great pleasure to announce the first inductee for the 2020 Hall of Fame, and it's Owen Hill. Owen Hill was the founder of Microbee. We know Owen attended the Parramatta High School because he and our next to be announced Hall of Famer, Jenny Seberry, were in the same physics and chemistry class for 2 years at that high school. Talk about a small world. The Microbee computer was designed and manufactured in Australia and launched in 1982, and I'm sure many of you will recall it. Some of you it was well before you were born. Apologies for that. The first 1,000 Microbee computers were sold in kit form, but the fully assembled and tested Microbees soon started to roll out in the factory in Gosford. Microbee became one of the most popular home computers designed and manufactured in Australia and New Zealand. In 1983, the New South Wales Department of Education issued a contract for the Microbee computer for use in schools. Other Australian states followed, as did exports to Sweden, Denmark and Norway for use in their schools. And in 1985, Microbee computers was listed on the ASX. And ASX just happens to be our sponsor today. Thank you. Over 70,000 Microbees were manufactured between 83 and 88, and it's considered to be the most successful Australian personal computer developed in the 80s. Congratulations and welcome to the 20 Pearcey Hall of Fame, Mr. Owen Hill. Our second inductee is Dr. Jennifer Seberry. Jennifer is a distinguished academic who commenced her education in Sydney's West, Parramatta High School, no less. She completed her first degree, a BSc, at the University of New South Wales in '66. She was also a programmer at ICL back in '63-64. She undertook her PhD in computational maths at Melbourne's La Trobe University in 1970. Over the ensuing years, she worked in the departments of computer science at Sydney University and many international academic institutions. In 1987, Jenny became the first female professor in computer science in Australia, when she was appointed the head of computer science at the Australian Defence Force Academy. Professor Seberry returned to Sydney University and the University of New South Wales in 1989 to lead the team which designed the LOKI family of encryption algorithms. Professor Seberry then assumed the role as head of electrical engineering of computer science at the University of Nebraska in the US, demonstrating her enthusiasm for international experience, collegiality, and collaboration, as well as mentoring. Professor Seberry joined the University of Wollongong in '92, where she established the Centre for Computer Security Research, one of the earliest in Australia. Professor Seberry is considered to be the mother of cryptography in Australia for many of her peers. She was admitted as an Emeritus Professor of the University of Wollongong in July 2015 for a distinguished contribution to computer security and mathematics in Australia, and dare we say, to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the 2020 Pearcey Hall of Fame, Dr. Jennifer Seberry. And our third and final inductee to the 2020 Pearcey Hall of Fame, I introduce Jeff Whittle. Jeff is the founder of Whittle Consulting and the creator of the Whittle Consulting mining software. He was born in England. Was it Lancashire, Jeff? And trained as a physicist at the Harvey Atomic Energy Research Establishment. He and his family moved to Australia in '61, so he's no longer a POM, where he joined the newly created Computer Centre at Monash University. Since '84, Jeff has developed computer software which has revolutionised mine design, strategic mine planning, and most specifically, the ability to optimise the economic value of mine sites in Australia and around the world. Jeff is a true pioneer of the Australian software industry. After joining the mining industry in '79, he recognised the need for mining optimisation tools. And in response to this need, he and his wife, Ruth, started Whittle Programming. Since '84, they've successfully developed and marketed worldwide a series of mining optimisation software packages. In 2000, Jeff commenced development of his multi-pit mine scheduling optimisation software, resulting in the Proba series of optimizers. And in the industry, I'm told, people ask, have you whittled it if you're in mining planning? Jeff was recognised in the Australia Day Honours for 2018 with an AO for distinguished service to the information technology sector and the mining industry. I'm sure it was very well deserved. Whilst Jeff is now 90, he continues to work in the business as technical director to further refine and develop Whittle software. Jeff confided in me yesterday that he has spent far too much time these last 2 weeks finding that final bug in his latest software. Congratulations, Jeff. And I would like to now invite John Whittle, whilst no relation to Jeff, He does hail from the same English county, Lancashire, was it, John? And was actually last employed before joining Data 61 at the Monash Faculty of IT also. And John is going to announce and present the 2020 Pearcey medalist. By way of introduction, John is a world-renowned expert in software engineering and human-computer interaction, with a particular interest in IT for social good, AI research in health sciences, and sustainable development. Earlier this year, John took up the role of Director of CSIRO's Data 61 and will also be joining us shortly on the Looking Forward to 2021 panel to share some of his predictions for the future. John, over to you.
Thank you, Wayne. And look, it's a great pleasure to be here with you today, and a great honor to be able to present the winner of the 2020 Pearcey medalist, which recognizes a distinguished lifetime achievement and contribution to the development and growth of ICT industry in Australia. I feel like I have a particular connection to this set of events. As you know, Trevor Pearcey joined CSIRO from the UK in 1945. I recently joined CSIRO from England, although not directly, in July of this year to head up Data 61. And it's interesting to note that this year's Pearcey medalist winner, who has made a career in computer security, you know, that's a topic that is as relevant and topical today as it ever was. We have, you know, a great collection of cryptography and cybersecurity researchers in Data 61 working on a lot of these fundamental problems that have been very difficult to solve for very many years. So it gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you the 2020 Pearcey medalist, and that is Dr. Jennifer Seberry. So congratulations, Jennifer, and I'd like to pass over to you just to say a few words.
Hello. Thank you very much. I first of all wish to thank all those people who have supported me over the years and backed me up when things became difficult, and those who nominated me for this medal and this Hall of Fame, and those who have been my friends and colleagues and students for over 50 years now. I wanted to say something a little bit different, because at the moment I'm struggling because I'm getting to be deaf and I'm getting older. And so it makes the digital divide become even more conspicuous when you are one of the people who is on the other side of the problem. In this, I was astonished when I was getting my hearing aids to watch a video which told me that of all the Aborigines and First Nation people in Australia who are in jail, 72% of them have hearing problems. Now, I don't know how many people realise that, but it's generally in the community at large, you would have 4%. But when it's 72%, this means we are falling down on the job. But I thank all those people wonderful medical people who've given us so much wonderful technology to help us hear and see, have operations, and to explore medicine. I said before that one of the things that had disappointed me in Australia was that at times I felt like I was the only Australian in my department. Most of the people were Asian. And it is a very important that in Australia, we keep our own head up and realise that we have our strengths and we don't rely totally on imports to fill up the gaps in our learning. So I support the TAFE sector, the teaching sector, and everybody who's there helping Australians become greater achievers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. That's wonderful. And congratulations to you. Thank you, John, for introducing our 2020 medalist. And thank you to Owen and Jeff. We are absolutely thrilled to have you join the Pearcey Hall of Fame. It's just wonderful.
Thank you to everybody. I think everybody must be feeling invigorated and inspired. I think we've finally turned a bit of a corner, but there's so much that, you know, we can harness our energies, our passion, our intelligence, and actually fix some of the challenges that have been identified this year. We've made it through, and I'm not going to sing a Madonna song, but it's what came into my head then, saying my age. But really, congratulations to all of our winners. You know, Grant, I'm a Victorian. You know, it's great to see you taking out the award, but gosh, what an amazing array of entrepreneurs we've recognised this year, and also to our esteemed Hall of Famers. And I really have loved these threads that we've seen. So Parramatta, I think we're going to have to go and talk to Parramatta High School and let them know about these amazing people who were studying physics all those years ago. And that Dr. Jennifer Seberry and Owen Hill and Jeff Whittle are recognised in amongst a great cohort of people who have contributed through their lifetime and made Australian technology and ICT what it is today. And particularly Jennifer, with your commitment and I think some of the insights you shared with us before. It'd be great for you to connect in with Dr. Elaine Saunders, who was a Victorian Deputy Chair and a winner of the Victorian Entrepreneur of the Year Award around Blamey Saunders Hears and the work that she's done in audiology. So again, the connections across this amazing network is what really makes a difference. And we want to thank ASX, our sponsors, for your continued support, because this is a volunteer organisation, and like with all organisations, you know, our costs are low this year because we don't have to have dinner, but we still have to maintain and keep running organisations, and it really is through the contribution of a significant amount of volunteers who believe in this collective action towards a positive, productive, inclusive technology and digital society. So I really will pass on my sincere thanks on behalf of all of our industry representatives, our state and national committee members, and for your work this year. It's been tireless, but I think it's really driven and shown that there really is a role for an organisation like Pearcey to look to the past, to reflect on today, and then know where we want to head tomorrow. And really thank you very much for your attendance this afternoon and ongoing support of the foundation to all of our friends. So thank you very much and enjoy your evening.